Well, good evening, everybody. How you doing? Last minute technical difficulties. I killed myself, but I got it working and hope it stays working. So listen, if I should freeze up or go away for a few seconds, don't go away. I will get back in. Oh man, the chat is going crazy. People are coming in. So, hi, everybody. It's me, Mitch. Good to see you all. Needless to say, it's been a little crazy. It's been a little crazy since last night. As you all know by now, and maybe a lot of you are here because of it, I got a big surprise last night. Big shout out from Ken and Nisha. Kind of took me by surprise. And with the following that he has and the recommendation that I got from Nisha, I'm just flabbergasted to announce that you ready for this? I've picked up almost 700 subscribers since last night. Now that's nuts. That's crazy. Considering that things have been slowing down a little bit lately, it's really crazy, but it's just great. And the comments that I got from all of you were just fantastic. So thank you all so much. Means a lot to me. And I don't know if Ken is going to be watching this or Nisha. I knew that Ken caught one of my videos once in a while because he did leave 3 comments over the course of my 200 and close to 240 carnivore videos that I've made. But I was surprised about Nisha. I was surprised to get the reaction out of her, and it sounds to me like she's seen a couple of my rant videos. And the first thought that I had, I got to share this with you. The first thought that I had was, oh no, all these new people just found out about me and it's Monday. And what video did I put out this morning? And what's probably the first one of my videos they're going to go to check out? It's going to be one of my rants. And I watched the one from Monday again, and I said, well, this one isn't too bad. I at least kept it clean, and I didn't want to scare anybody away, but it was something. And I said, wow. So I'm just getting over it. And I got to tell you that I have spent the better part of today just in the comment sections on my YouTube back end, trying to keep up with the comments, hundreds and hundreds of them. And I did it all day. It is an all day job. We've got 92 people in here already, which for, Anthony Chafee or Ken would be nothing. But for me, it's a nice start. So I'm hoping that we got some new people here. And if you are new and you heard about me last night on Ken Berry's show, I've got a lot of crazy people in the chat here, my regular followers. And so just believe half of what they tell you about me. Okay. And you'll find out the rest. I feel, although I see all my usual suspects in there. So my normal disclaimer is I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on TV. I don't give medical advice. I talk about diet and nutrition solely based on my own experience and my own experiments on myself. And I only basically report about what happened to me. you take it for what it's worth. Recipes are another matter. I can't get in trouble for recipes unless somebody dies of food poisoning, and even then, be tough to prove that it was my fault. So that's my little disclaimer. Believe half and share the other half. Eat meat, heal for life says. So what I usually do about this time in the live chat is go back to the beginning and say hello to a few people that were here early. First one's in. But first, before I do that, I see a couple of things over here. Randy K, member for 5 months. Thank you so much, Randy. Good to see you, my friend. I have 3 new channel members today. Sherry Morgan. Hi, Sherry. I don't know if you're here. If you are, don't be shy. Joe Kodiak and Viking 442. Welcome. So all you guys, welcome to the channel. And I hope to see you in the channel members live stream on Thursday night, where it does get sometimes a little wild and woolly, but we have a good time. A couple of things I wanted to comment on. Well, let me save that and say hello to a few people. Jerry Bell, of course, was the first one in here at 6:30. Jerry, how you doing? Good to see you. Eat Meat, Heal for Life was followed up shortly thereafter. It's time for the Meat Mafia to round up again. And then he says first to the table, Jerry. But I don't know. Jerry was beat there. And then he asked me how many new followers I've had since Ken and Nisha gave me my much deserved props last night. And like I said, I've had about 700 new subscribers. I am right now at 27,624. And I was at 26,900 and something last night. So it's pushing 700, which is amazing. Coco, join the channel. Hey, how you doing? Coco's one of my dyed-in-the-wool viewers here all the time, always present. Good to see you. Thanks so much, Coco. We'll enjoy having you. And you better get your little butt into the Thursday night chat. Click that link. Come into the panel with us so we can get to meet. And you can meet Rosie, who comes in there. And I think the two of you would get along great. That's great. Happy to see that. And we have Rosie. Speaking of Rosie was chiming in early. She enjoyed my Monday rant this week. I think I'm going to tone those things down a little bit. I think that some people, based on the comments, especially some of them that unsubscribe, take me way too seriously. You know, part of what we do, or what I do on YouTube, besides trying to help and inform and tell you what I'm going through and what I've discovered, is entertain a little bit. And the people in general love it. The more pissed off I seem, the better they seem to like it. It's amazing. So it's a dichotomy. It's like a double-edged sword. I have to be careful. I'll piss off some people. Other people will be cheering and rooting for me. So I guess I've elected to lean towards the people that cheer for me. But I think I want to tone it down a little bit, similar to what I did yesterday, because I think that was a good one. I always have some things to say. I save them up for Monday morning. Usually it has to do with idiots and comments, but I wanted to talk about Amanda. And you've probably all heard about Carnivorous Me and Carnivore Odyssey, Merwin over there in Australia. Put out a video talking about a post that Amanda, Carnivorous Me, had put up. Basically, at first, when she started reading it, it sounded like a suicide note. And if you all want to see it, you just go over to Carnivorous Me, our YouTube channel, look in the community tab, and you can see the post. And they got to her. They got to her. The trolls, the sociopaths, the morons, almost, it sounds like, almost destroyed her. And I've got to tell you, I understand. And I understand better than anybody that hasn't been on the receiving end of the worst of the dregs of humanity, which is what these people are. Sad fact is, I can understand the activists for the vegans and vegetarians and animal rights people and the entire anti-meat crowd that has a very organized group of paid activists whose job it is to go into anybody that opposes their message and just try to disrupt their life as much as they can. I see Rosie said Bill Knott is beginning to get bullied, and you'll pardon me if I'm not following the chat real closely yet. I'm going to spend much of the latter part of the stream interacting with you all, but I did want to get this out. If you've been following me for a while, you know that any human being who does what we do here on YouTube, if they're a human being, if they have compassion, they're also going to have feelings that can be hurt. The more somebody comes on YouTube with an altruistic goal, not that I believe that much in altruism, but I do believe that people do get something out of doing good for other people. They get praise, they get appreciation, and that means something, and it makes you feel good. I know that every time I get one of those comments or an email from you guys saying, Mitch, up until I watched your videos, I couldn't make it work, and I took your tips, and now for the first time I'm doing it, you're saving my life, and so on and so on. I can't help but just to feel good about that. Doesn't pay me anything. It just, if you're a person with feelings, you can't help but appreciate that. And you can tell the people who are real human beings on YouTube. You can tell the people who are just doing it as a business and they're running it like a machine would run it. And then there are other people, the Bill Knotts, the Amandas, Carnivorous Me. You talk about excited. Look at Curry, Homestead How. Look at Ken Berry and Nisha. You can't help. I mean, I met Ken Berry last year, and the first thing I said is, there goes a real, genuine human being who actually gives a damn. People like that have a hump to get over on YouTube. Now, I've only been doing the carnivore YouTube stuff for a little over 8 months. Seems like 100 years, but it's only been a little over 8 months. I started beginning of August last year. But that wasn't my first YouTube adventure. I had a drone channel, and I did that since 2018. And now, not that I got a lot of heat in the drone channel. There's not, not really a lot of people, a lot of trolls in that arena, but you get your share of that stuff. But nothing like you do in any keto or carnivore arena. That's like politics. It's like coming on with a conservative channel or a liberal channel. And it's amazing how rude and crude people can be. So we've got a choice to make. We have to make a choice. my choice right now is to wet my whistle. Our choice is don't read the comments, because if you don't read the comments, who cares? Now, you all read the comments, and well, what happens is so many of you will just come to my defense against these lunatics that I would end up having to referee the battles in the comment sections. Now, interestingly enough, that benefits you in the eyes of YouTube. That is what YouTube considers interaction. And the more people that are battling in the comment section, that means there's more comments. That means more engagement on the video, which means the YouTube algorithm ranks it higher. So in that respect, it's a good thing. And as all of you know, I think it's as long as I can keep doing it. Now, if I ever get to over 100,000 or 200,000 subs, sometimes I say, God forbid, but who wouldn't like to be, if you're doing it, do it. It's going to be even harder for me to answer all of these comments, especially the flattering ones, especially to make sure I know who wrote the comments so that I can say, for example, thank you, Rosie. I appreciate that. Because I don't know about you, but man, I never, ever, ever, of all the YouTube videos I've watched and all the comments I've got, I have never gotten a personalized comment back from any YouTuber that had over, say, 5 or 10,000 subscribers. Small YouTube channels, they don't get a lot of comments. They're so thrilled when they get a comment that they want to write you a letter back. But you take guys like Chafee and Sean Baker and Ken Burry, how the hell could they possibly respond? And I think it's important, and I try to stay engaged with people that are watching. So yes, I read all of the insulting, hurtful comments, and I'm a man with feelings, and I don't mind admitting it, and they get hurt. And it took me months of waffling back and forth. Do I need this aggravation? Is it worth it to me to make myself a target for these idiots? Yes, I know sticks and stones. I'm a grown man. I understand all that, but some of these people, some of the absurdities. So I decided to give it right back to them. That's why Ken and Nisha both made a point last night of, yeah, Mitch. And I don't think they ever said my name, Mitch, but they said he's not afraid to tell you what's on his mind. And that's who I am, really. That's my personality, always has been. I don't hold anything back. When something's on my mind, it just comes flying right out of my mouth. And a lot of times that gets me in trouble. But that's how I decided. That and the hide user from channel button that YouTube gives all of us control on our own channel to basically take an abusive user and hide them from everybody else's view, including ours, forever. Now, it takes a bit for me to click that button on a user. I have learned not to engage these people. And if Amanda came to me and asked me, Mitch, how do you handle the a-holes of the world? I would tell her how I finally came to terms with it and ignore them, talk about their comments. And that's what I do in my rants. I talk about the nonsense that these morons write to me. And it gives me fodder for a rant, and it's entertaining for you guys, and you seem to love it. So I've turned that into a positive, and I don't hesitate. It took me a while to start clicking that hide user button, but it doesn't take much. And in the short time that I've learned not to answer them, occasionally I will, if it's I might give them a snide answer, or something back, and I'll leave it at that, and I won't hide them from the channel. But if they come back to me with a snide answer, they're gone. They're gone. I mean, that's all I can do. I just can't allow it to hurt my feelings and make me negative. I don't want that. I want to be positive. I want to try to be positive about this. This carnivore lifestyle has done so many positive things for me. I want to share that. I want to talk to you about some of the down the rabbit hole type of understanding I have about the whys. Although when I make videos like that, you guys aren't as interested in the ones that are lighter and more practical, the how-tos, the recipes, the little experiments I do. Excuse me. So, to Amanda, if you get this message, hang in there, sweetie. There's a phony, it's not real Latin, it's a phony Latin, faux Latin expression, illegitimate non-carborundum. If you've heard that. It's not real Latin, but it sounds Latin. And it means don't let the bastards wear you down or grind you down. Don't let the bastards grind you down. It's easier said than done. Nobody can understand. I have talked to a few new YouTubers, people like Pete. Remember Pete, the Primal Timeline? They beat him up so bad right off the bat that he just said, I don't need this stuff, and gave up on it because it's a lot of work. And to do that kind of work, Marlowe says Churchill. Did Churchill say that? Illegitimate non-carborundum? I know Buddy Hackett said absconde obeseri. You ever heard that one? Absconde obeseri means get out of here, you fat bastard. That's the punchline to a funny Buddy Hackett joke. They don't make comedians like that anymore. But Amanda, just get rid of them. Just hide them. Don't worry about them. Certainly don't take them personally. I've watched so many of your videos, and everything that you're doing is benefiting you so much. That's obvious. But you have helped so many people struggling. And that's the best thing, that those of us that put ourselves out there in public view, open our lives up to everybody, including our pantries and our refrigerators, is to set an example, unlike the medical community does. I mean, most of the medical practitioners that I see, nurses and doctors, are in horrible health, horrible shape. And, it's easy to understand why. For God's sakes, the gym that I go to is part of a Health First, huge health complex. And it's a huge gym. And what's the first thing you see when you walk in the door? Vending machines full of crap. Pastries and cookies and Coke and that's what they have. And that's the company that owns the hospitals and runs the healthcare system in the area where I live. And when I was in their hospital, all they could feed me was sugar. It's crazy. These people have no idea what they're doing, but they have an aura of authority and knowledge about them. And one of the hardest things that that we have to do is go against their advice. And that resolve that we have to go against their advice is shaky at best. It's easy to topple us. You know, we've studied and we've learned all about cholesterol and all about the fraud and the hoax that started this whole mess. But so many people don't understand the history or where this came from. They just see the man in the long white coat with the stethoscope around his neck telling them that they're going to die if they don't take this statin. And they don't have the confidence in what they've learned to go against the advice of the authority figure, the person with the doctor in front of his name. That's the hardest part of doing this. Everybody's telling you you're killing yourself. Meanwhile, we're not dropping. We're not dying. We're doing push-ups and running around the block, and our brains are working great. We're 3 weeks from tonight, everybody, is my 77th birthday, and I'm going to have a party here. So come and join me. Most 77-year-olds that I know are not acting like 30-year-olds like I do. They're not doing the things. They're not thinking like 30-year-olds think. They're eating and drinking all day long and on deciding which nursing home they want to go in. It's crazy. It's crazy. So Amanda, back to you. Don't go away. Don't let them get you. Keep doing it. You're helping a lot of people. A lot of people would miss you terribly. Okay, enough about that. Carnivorous Dude says, Mitch, where are you located? I'm in Melbourne, Florida, 20 miles south of where the rockets go off. Frank Thompson, it's going to be 75 in July. He feels great. Donna Couture, how you doing? Good to see you. Cody's here, Carnivore Coder. Let me run through and just say hi to some people. And I'm going to do it without putting your names up on the screen, if that's okay with you, because that just takes I have two different chats here in front of me, and that just takes too long to find them in the chat where I can actually click it and it shows up. Well, I can do this. I can start from the bottom of that chat. Holy cow, look at all the people. 179 people. This is the biggest live stream I've ever had tonight. So I guess many of you took Nisha and Ken's advice and came to my channel to find out what this crazy old fart is doing. And I started this. This is for you, for the new people that don't know me. I've taken a lot of time in previous live streams, especially the first live stream, to introduce myself, tell people what my background was, all my successes and failures in life, where I came upon most of the knowledge that I have, how I've put it all together, how over 55 plus years of yo-yo dieting, being a carb addict of the highest order, I've conquered it. I've made it work. And why I seem to have a slightly different message than just about everybody else that does these YouTube things. I come at carnivore from the addiction direction. I think, and I'll briefly go through this, I think carb addiction is the problem. I think that as a society, 80+% of us are carb addicts, even though nobody even recognizes carb addiction as a real thing. Now, some people call it food addiction, and I disagree with that. I know it's semantics, but I disagree with it. I don't think we're addicted to food. You need food to live. I think we're addicted to sugar. We're addicted to carbohydrates. Unfortunately, the rocket scientists that work in the food companies have discovered something they call the bliss point, which is a kind of a combination of salty, sweet, seed oils, grains, and sugars that produce the bet you can't eat just one products And I saw a video today from a channel called The Evil Food Supply, and that's great. If you ever want to see some great videos, look them up. Talking about spicy hot Cheetos, which they went through the whole story of how the scientists fine-tuned that to be the single most addictive food on the planet Earth, and how it's ruining lives and health of so many people that just can't stop eating them once they start. End up hospitalized from all those spices they put in their stomach from those stupid things, but they can't stop eating them. That's the power of addiction. So I come at this carnivore thing from an angle of addiction, which is why in a day or two, maybe tomorrow, I don't think I'll have it done, probably Thursday, I'm going to be putting out a video about my take on allulose. And I talked about this yesterday morning. Allulose, it's been around a long time. It's basically just another one of these artificial sweeteners. But all of a sudden, we're seeing a huge push trying to make people believe that this is the next magic food that you can eat as much of as you want, and you won't gain any weight, and you know, it won't hurt your metabolism and all that stuff. And that's simply not true if you're addicted to sugar. And the only way to cure carb addiction is to do two things. Number one, abstain from carbs, something the keto diet doesn't really allow you to do that much if you're still counting grams of carbs. Because you and I both know that when you're allowed 20 grams of carbs a day, most people are going to elect the sweetest 20 grams they can find, not the broccoli or the cauliflower. Oh, some conscientious people do, and they generally succeed. But most of them are out there buying pallet loads of these keto snacks at Costco and Sam's Club, full of garbage. And I've made videos going over the labels of those things, and it's incredible. And as long as we keep stuffing that sweet taste in our mouth, we are not going to cure our addiction to carbohydrates. It's just not going to happen. We don't have, our conscious minds don't have the willpower to overcome the power of our subconscious to control our actions when it wants to. I've talked many times about where this comes from. It's ancient survival stuff, programmed deep down at the basic levels of our genetic programming and our DNA. From the times before we had conscious minds. It's what controls every animal on the planet and ensures that they eat the right foods. They don't have to think about what they eat. And they're perfectly tuned to the foods that they eat, even though different animals might have different diets. We're the only animals that can consciously get addicted to things because we allow this ancient genetic programming to take over. It all comes from hunting for survival food way back when. I'm talking hundreds of thousands and millions of years ago in our ancestry, when we had to turn to berries and fruits and tubers and roots and things like that when there was no meat to eat. I don't want to get into all the biochemistry of it and all the physiology and evolutionary biology of it now, but suffice it to say that I've discovered after a lifetime of trying every gimmick, every fad, every new thing that was supposed to change my life. And I've been around a long time, and I remember a lot of them. I'm going to talk about them in that video. But my simple answer to those things and to success on carnivore, and I know it sounds tough, but the first part of the equation is do not let anything that tastes sweet into your mouth. That sweet taste is the trigger that starts so much of these physiological functions in motion. It's responsible for the endorphin releases, the anticipation of pleasure and reward that's soon to follow. It's triggered. It can be triggered by looking at a picture. I had people, I put on a picture of those keto ice cream bars on the thumbnail of my video. I had people tell me that triggered their cravings. It does. It's scientifically designed. You can smell a bakery from across the street and get triggered. And once you're triggered, you're generally helpless. The second part of the equation, after you don't eat sweets, and that's why artificial sweeteners are just a time bomb. They're just sabotaging you. The second part of the equation is eat protein and fat only because that handles your hormonal balance, which allows your body to benefit from leptins are from plants. Leptin is the satiety hormone. And you don't get hungry and you don't get the cravings. And we all know, if we've been carnivore or tried carnivore a little while, that if you're eating a big bowl of pasta, you never get satisfied. You just keep eating and wanting more, or ice cream or cookies or anything. That's if you're an addict, and most of us are. But nobody can eat that much meat. You get through pound and a half of steak and you're going, oh God, I'm just not hungry. I don't even know if I'm going to eat any more today. And that's what happens to us on carnivore. We lose our appetites. And the biggest problem some carnivores have is they tell me, I don't think I'm eating enough. But the cravings are gone. Because the thing that triggers the cravings for the sugar is the fact that something in your physiology is missing some nutrients it needs. It thinks you're not eating, you're starving, and it triggers the response to eat the emergency food, which is the sweet things and the carbohydrates, because that's instant energy. That's the basics of it. So I talk about that angle and how all this stuff is connected. It's all connected. And over the years, I've made those connections in my head, and I truly, truly understand the big picture of virtually everything. I understood it when I wrote my book 22 years ago and wrote it in the book, and nothing that I wrote has changed. Wendy, let me do this for you. Wendy, thank you. Anything sweet tasting is a no-no for me. Wendy, you're exactly right. And I noticed it. Even as a carnivore, I was drinking good old Dr. Berg's electrolyte mix, which was sweetened with stevia. And, we all know stevia has no calories. It's supposed to be okay. It's natural, comes from plants. Not that that's any good. But you got to avoid that sweet taste. You may have heard it mentioned. I've mentioned it many times. It triggers something called the cephalic phase response. That's something everybody should understand and be familiar with. The cephalic phase response, quickly, basically alerts all of the different systems in your body that it's time to start gearing up to handle a load of sugar that's coming. And it makes sense that when your taste buds sense something sweet, that your brain knows that you're about to be hit with a load of sugar, and it has to make sure that you don't go into a diabetic coma, and it squirts insulin, preloads insulin into your bloodstream and starts getting the gastric juices flowing. your mouth starts to water. People don't think about that. Just a simple thing. When you start thinking about food, your mouth starts to water. Your body is gearing up these processes to handle the sugar that's coming, which doesn't come. Meanwhile, all the insulin that's been squirted into your blood crams the sugar that's already in your blood into your cells. Your blood sugar starts to drop. And as your blood sugar starts to drop, your body panics. And that's when it says, all right, conscious mind out of the way. We need to get some sugar in us. And you get cravings that you can't control. The next thing you know, you're binging on Oreos. And that's how it works. If you never teased your body with that sweet taste in the first place, if you'd eaten a couple of hamburger patties or a pound of ribeye, your insulin levels would have stayed nice and low, which would have allowed your whole digestive system to ramp up, take care of that meat that came in, get all the good nutrients out of it. Your fat cells would have said, well, we're using all this stuff, so let's squirt some leptin out to tell our brain that we're satisfied and we're not hungry. And you're not hungry. And it's all chemistry. There's no mystery to it. And it's got nothing to do with willpower. Willpower I think it's a man-made up thing. I don't think it really exists, to tell you the truth, in any of us. I think we like to think we have willpower. But if we had all this willpower, we wouldn't be in the pickle that we're in today. So anyway, that's how I go about it. And I'm doing this for some of the new people that are here that don't know me. Got a nice crowd tonight. I was going to address the chat. Give me a minute to see who's here. If you have a question for me, put like 3 capital Q's first, or the word question in all caps, and I'll be sure to see it. Carnivore Cheers here. Lori, how you doing? I'm glad you could attend the meetup. Everybody's talking to everybody else here, so let's see if anybody's talking to me. Jim Pollock says, good evening, my friend Mitch. What you are saying is exactly correct. Listening to your body is vital. It's really quite simple. It is simple. Jim, Lori says, I remember doctor. Let me see if I can put these up here while I'm talking. There it is. I remember Dr. Jason Fung talking about the danger of ingesting artificial sweeteners, 0 calories. Doesn't matter because your body gets the message. Sugar is coming. And, I think it would almost be better if it got that message if you followed it up with sugar. I think it does more damage to tease and fool the body, get it going, ready to process, start the motor, start revving it up, and then never put it in drive. You know what I mean? It's not good for the machinery, and generally only ends in terrible cravings and binges. And it's all chemistry. One more doll. I like that. One more doll. I can't finish a ribeye. I cut it up for the next day's breakfast. Yeah. Well, eat to satiety. Ken Berry says that. Ken Berry says that all the time. Hey, Scooby the dog, how you doing, my friend? He met up with Curry Homestead House at the meetup last Saturday. I said, say hi for me, and he did. Thank you. Yeah, I know that Eat Meat Heal for Life was there. Yeah, he told me. One more doll says, absolutely, Mitch. Stevia makes me crave sugar like crazy. Went months with no cravings at all, but drinking electrolytes with stevia turned this monster on. That's what prompted me to make that video that I made about making your own electrolytes. I couldn't see, and I didn't like the very small amount of the different electrolytes that were in these commercially available mixes and the enormous money that you had to pay for them. So that's why I did this video about mix up your own, and they're unflavored. 1/50th of the cost of the prepackaged stuff. I won't mention any brand names. And I didn't sweeten it. I left it completely salty tasting. But what I do is, and you've seen me with that 44-ounce big thermos jug. I mix 44 ounces of ice water, a scoop of the electrolyte mix, and I throw a few ice cubes in it. It lasts all day. And during the course of the day, I end up drinking the whole thing. Instead of just drinking tap water or water out of the fridge, I will drink the water with the electrolytes, and you don't taste them. It dilutes them down enough where you don't taste them. But when I stopped taking the electrolytes with the sweetener in it, it made a big difference. It made an absolute big difference. I don't even think about that crap. In fact, when I see that stuff now, it just disgusts me. I look at that stuff and I say, oh, God. And I know what they're doing. I know how they're trying to hook us on that. And the excuse is, it's good for you. You can indulge your cravings without any harm. I'm sorry. We're too sophisticated inside for that. Our chemistry and our programming is too clever and fine-tuned to fall for that stuff. And that's why it never works. And most of the time, makes the problem worse. Rosie, thank you, sweetie. I appreciate that. Rosie's under the weather. Oh, sorry to hear that. I feel like I can't eat one more bite of meat, hope it passes, and I begin to feel, well, it will. I'm sure it'll pass. Try something different. Have some eggs. That soup that I just made was really good. That beef soup, that came out great. God, I couldn't believe how that, and putting those pork rinds in it reminded me of French onion soup with croutons in it. Had that little crunch in the pork rinds. That was delicious. I had a huge cup of that. That was my first meal yesterday. It was great. I really, really enjoyed it. I hope I don't sound hoarse. I don't get colds, but I've been on the phone a lot and doing a lot of talking, and now I'm sitting here talking for a while, and my poor voice is getting worn out. So I'll be drinking a lot. And I'm going to drink this San Pellegrino, sophisticated Italian seltzer water. So let's see. Yeah, Rosie, I hope you feel better. And thank you so much for the super chat. Very much appreciated. Keep in touch. Let us know. Let me know how you're doing. I don't see any questions in here. I see we have Carlo Vargas, had some bacon and eggs, feels amazing. Eat meat for life. Scooby is a lady. Oh, okay. It's hard to tell sometimes. And with all these different people, it takes me a while to get the first names down. So never hurts to put them in the chat. Juan Kurgan 60 from Chile. How you doing, my friend? Eat meat. I love butter and coffee. Good to see you. Senator McDonald says, stomp on the like button as though it's an Ozempic injection. No, don't ever do that. Don't ever do that. Here we go. Tammy Dean. Question, I'm new to your channel. Do you eat grass-fed beef or whatever you get at the store? I buy most of my meat at Sam's Club. I'm not a stickler or a perfectionist or OCD about doing carnivore. I think that we each of us have to find the easiest methods to have the foods that we enjoy the most that we can afford. And like Ken Berry says, if all you can afford is hot dogs and Spam, you're 1,000% better off than eating the standard American diet. Now, there's always purists in anything and perfectionists. I'm not one of those. I want to eat good quality meat. I buy the meat. I buy ribeyes when Publix has a sale and they're selling $6.99, and I'll buy a couple 100 pounds, vacuum seal all up, throw it in a chest freezer, and have ribeyes for a year. I do buy at Sam's Club. They have some ground beef, $5 a pound. That comes in 1 pound vacuum sealed square things that says grass fed on it, but I don't trust labels anymore either. So, take your best shot. I look at the ingredients list. I hope I can trust it. If it says beef and nothing else, I'm happy. Pork rinds. I eat pork rinds as long as it doesn't have any seed oils listed on the ingredients label. I'm happy. I figure they just render them out in their own fat, which I don't understand why anybody would do anything other than that. The thing about grass-fed beef, and my son hunts, and he gets wild boar. And that stuff has got so little fat in it, you can hardly eat it. So what they do with so much of the meat is he'll go to his butcher and he'll get a big load of beef fat trimmings, and he'll make sausage out of the wild boar meat, half fat, half meat. And then it tastes great. Grass-fed animals traditionally are not going to be that fat. That's why they feed them grain. They feed them grain to fatten them up. That's why it never made sense to me, knowing that anybody that raises animals, pigs and cows and hogs, knows that the way you fatten up an animal is feed it grain. Why would that be any different for a human being? And yet they tell you when you want to lose weight and get thin to eat grain. Doesn't make any sense. And obviously, because people who eat all these grains and carbs have the same effect that it has on the cow or the pig. We look at steaks and we look for marbling. That's what makes a steak tasty. The fat is what makes a steak taste terrific. And when you're eating mostly grass-fed beef, you're going to get a different taste. And the grass-fed beef that I've eaten, I don't like as much as grain-fed or grain-finished. And the grain finishing doesn't scare me. Just because the cow ate grain doesn't mean I'm eating grain when I eat the cow. No more so than I'm eating grass when I eat the meat of a grass-fed cow. Now they say, and I don't know if this is true with all the factory farming that we have, but all cows, they say, are grass-fed. The grain only comes in the finishing, last couple months, when they fatten them up and then slaughter them. And I think that's what makes the meat tasty. The cow has turned those grains into fat. We're not eating grains. We're eating fat. And in that respect, I think it's good for us. What's the ratio of omega-6s to omega-3s? For my mind, it's close enough. None of us can be that sure. Or are we going to be out there with our little chemistry sets trying to make sure everything is perfect? We never had that guarantee with any of our food. And we have the programming and the biology to deal with the slight variations or different variations in the amount of these different fats, and generally come out doing pretty good on them. Certainly much better than we would eating seed oils and sugars and grains. So I would say eat grain finished and not worry about it, as long as you buy it from a reputable butcher and you know it's fairly fresh. I think most of the influencers, doctors on YouTube will tell you the same thing. Would I like to have a nice, privately owned, sustainable cattle ranch right next door to me? Sure. I'd love to go there and buy a whole cow or half a cow. I don't have anybody like that near me. I've looked. So I go to Sam's Club, and I go in the morning early because I can. I have the Plus membership. I get in at 8 o'clock. I'm the first one through the door. I may be an old fart, but I'm fast. Nobody beats me to the markdown meat first thing in the morning. I am the first one in the store. There's usually 2 or 3 other old farts out there, but they can't keep up with me. I get to I check out the markdown meat, markdown 25% because it has its best used by date, maybe 2 or 3 days in advance. I'll buy a bunch of that stuff up. I'll look at the seafood. They have wild caught salmon, Soho salmon. They have wild caught cod. I buy that, and I can usually get that marked down. They have big black tiger shrimp. I can get that marked down. I bring them home. I've made videos about how I do this. I package them up, and vacuum seal them, and freeze them. And I'm good. And I basically spend a hell of a lot less money eating great food and more food than I can eat than I ever did on anything close to a standard diet where you start your day at Starbucks and then you go to a restaurant. You can't even get out of McDonald's for $15 anymore. I think it's cheap. Cody, Carnivore Coder. Where is it? Come on. There it is. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. What is the price of ribeye not discounted at your Sam's Club? That's it. $13.48, right about $13.50 here in Cattle Cut. Same price here. So when they discount it, I usually get it for about $10 a pound. It's usually $28, $30 for a 3-pack of ribeyes a pound or a little more. Now they screwed up the last time, and I don't know if I should tell them or not, or tell anybody, but I'll tell you guys. I picked up a package and it said $25 and it was 3 ribeyes. And I said, oh, these look pretty good. And I threw it in my cart and I brought it home. And when I opened the package, I pulled the first ribeye out. It was 2 inches thick. I said, holy cow, this is ribeye's 2 pounds. How the hell did I buy 3 of these for 20? Somebody screwed up on the scale or did something wrong. But there was a lot of meat there, a hell of a lot more. But I did get 3 of them for $25, which was a pretty good deal. I was very happy with that. But that's how I buy meat. And I think that that's not a bad price. I only eat 2 to 3 ribeyes a week. I don't eat steak every day. I don't do what anyway, Cody, thanks for the super chat. I appreciate that. I don't do what Sean Baker does and eat 4 pounds, or Anthony Chafee and eat 4 pounds of ribeye every day. And that's all they eat. I mix it up. I love my bacon and eggs. 5, 6 days a week. I have at least a half a pound of bacon and 5 or 6 pasture-raised eggs, which I buy at Sam's Club that may not be really pasture-raised, but it says so on the package, so I feel good. I'm not a fool or naive, but they're good eggs, and they're convenient, and they're relatively inexpensive. A dozen and a half for like $4.50. Not bad. If I wanted to, I'd go to Aldi and buy a dozen eggs for $1, $1.25. I'm not worried about it. It's still a cheap meal. Half a pound of bacon, $2.50. 5 eggs, $1, $1.50. $4. $4 for a pound of food, and it's cheap. Maybe $5 for a pound of burger at dinner. Still $10 a day. That's a latte and a biscotti. I don't even think you can get that for $10 at Starbucks anymore. So it's not expensive. It's not expensive at all. Yeah, you can spend a lot of money. You know, if you want, you can go out to eat to a steakhouse, pay $50 for a ribeye if you want. I know that at the Texas Roadhouse that I went to for dinner with my daughter when she was visiting, it was like for just like a 12-ounce ribeye, it was like $32 or $35, and it wasn't that good. And I guarantee you, even though I told them not to, I guarantee you they squirted some canola oil on the grill before they put the steak down on it. It's another thing about restaurants. It's another obstacle to being carnivore. If you eat out all the time, you're not going to do well on carnivore. Turns you into a cook. Changes your life. It's not easy to fit this lifestyle in with the way most people live these days. Everything revolves around food, entertainment, eating, drinking. You don't go anywhere without a bottle of wine or a box of pastry in your hand. Every TV show you watch. You go into any kind of a meeting, business meeting. You don't see a spread of ribeyes, bacon, and eggs. No. You see a spread of coffee and cookies and cakes and all the crap that's killing us. We've learned to accept that we are mavericks. We become different. That's a hard part of doing this. You have to address it and you have to come to terms with it. Or, and just like when you deal with the people that live with you. I live alone. I don't have those pitfalls. I can't even imagine having to live in the house with somebody that was eating that crap in front of me all the time. Talk about a trigger, feeling deprived, getting depressed over it. It unfortunately is going to change a lot more aspects of your life than just your diet. But that's the reality of it. And it's up to every one of us to decide if it's a change we want to make and try to adjust things here and there so that other people can fit what we do in with their lifestyle without making it hard for us. A number one complaint I get from people, I can't do it. Every time I turn around in my house, there's junk food. Somebody stuffing their face 24/7 with this stuff right in front of me. And it's true. It's true. They won't do it. Let's see here. Anybody else asking me a question? Here we go. Eat Meat Heal for Life says, question, how many of you like butter in your coffee? That is for those who drink coffee. Not me. Oh, I like it. I can drink it, but I don't need it. I don't need it. I've always been a black coffee drinker, but anybody else can answer that. Oh, wow. Another question up here from Mike K. Question, what are your views on spices? He likes pepper, garlic, and turmeric, among others. Well, again, it comes down to whether you're a militant, purist carnivore who says, and you probably, if you are, wouldn't be drinking coffee or tea or mowing the grass, because all that has to do with plants. And you would stay away from that. All spices are plants, except the minerals. Salt, it's not a plant, it's a mineral. How much of that is going to hurt you? I don't think. A small amount of garlic or a small amount, I would stay away from onions, a lot of sugar in onions, but if you can moderate on a little garlic, little pepper, a little bit of turmeric, if you really think it adds something, and you have, the most important thing is you have no adverse reaction to it. Doesn't cause you to have joint pain. A lot of people don't realize it, but there are toxins in those spices, like in most plants, and some people are more sensitive to them than others. So I'd be careful about that. But if you're, feeling great, I would try 30 days without them and see if you notice any difference. I know I did that with coffee. I noticed no difference. I said, why the hell am I not drinking coffee? I don't feel any better. I like coffee. It's not hurting me. My first test, of course, now I'm at a point where I don't even think about eating anything but meat. I don't even think about wanting to introduce any foods back in. I don't need them. I don't want them anymore. If you stick to this meat-only business long enough, you'll find that your natural instincts will completely change, and your desires will change, and what makes you happy will change, and you'll look forward to bacon and eggs more than you look forward to pizza. That happened to me. I never would have believed it, but it did. But for people who are just starting, that haven't let go of all that stuff they're so used to, and they think they get so much pleasure from it. The question on their minds and your minds is, how long until I can start trying to reintroduce these things? So there's two factors. Number one, is it affecting your health, or is it just affecting your weight? That's important. If you stick to carnivore long enough, you'll probably find you don't want this stuff. If you still feel like you just have a love affair with Brussels sprouts and you have to have Brussels sprouts, try reintroducing them and see if it hurts you. I know a lot of people that have talked to me have said, yeah, I made a mistake. I went and ate this or that, and I couldn't get out of bed for 4 days. The answer is don't. The other factor that's really important, the one that's the most important to me about eating anything other than pure protein and fat, has to do with the cravings. That's my biggest fear. I know that I'll never control a hard craving once it hits. I know that I'll fall off the wagon and have to struggle to get back on it. I don't want to do that. I haven't done it in 19, 20 months now, and I don't intend to, because I have no desire, nothing tugging at me to go back and start doing and eating that stuff that caused me all the trouble and all the illnesses that I've gotten over. Before I say another word, sorry about my scratchy throat, guys. It's not a cold or anything. I just overdid my voice box today. I hope I answered that question about the grass-fed beef. I think the consensus on that, let me get back to that a second, is that maybe 5% more nutrients in it. Certainly the stuff you get at the store is certainly good enough. As far as eating the spices, if you have to have them, fine. If you do without them for a while, you probably realize that. In fact, this is what happened to me. It's like I go out to lunch once a week with my son, and we go to a barbecue place. Sonny's Barbecue or something like that. And we order a pound of brisket, maybe some smoked, they have smoked chicken wings, and we get them plain, not fried in seed oil. But they, any barbecue place, they got a thing on the table with 6 different big squirt bottles full of all different kinds of sauce, which is mostly sugar. Kids can't eat French fries without coating them in ketchup, which is mostly sugar. I wonder sometimes how many people really understand what food tastes like. I think they only know what condiments and seasonings taste like, especially like Indian food. That's all seasoning. It's all, how do you know, they have like tandoori chicken. How do you know it's chicken you're eating? It doesn't taste like chicken tastes. Have you ever tasted chicken without all that crap on it? And I think what happens is we've gotten to the point where we're so addicted to the sugars that we have to coat everything we eat in sugar, even meat. And barbecue is a prime example of that. The reason my son and I go to Sonny's is they don't overdo it, at least. But I know that when I go there for lunch with him, that I'm going to be eating a few carbs in what they, was on the outside of the brisket. All right. I watch out. Did I get a craving from it? If not, no problem. Once a week, once every 2 weeks, you do that. That's fine. You can't punish yourself. But watch out if your mind starts to wander or you start to feel your car tugging into that ice cream, Baskin Robbins store as you're driving by, has a mind of its own. You've had that happen, haven't you? Haven't you had your car just on its own take off and pull right into the bakery store or the bagel shop? Or I know my car did that all the time. That's a craving. And so just be careful, but don't be a militant. Don't be one of these people. Don't be one of the people that write a comment to me. How can you call yourself a carnivore when you drink coffee? Don't you know that's a plant? Really? Duh. It's a plant? I didn't know that. I thought it came from a cow. People. Here I go. Don't get me started. No. I just say, if it doesn't cause me a craving, I'm not going to worry about it. If I happen to ingest a teaspoonful of seed oils by accident, I'm not going to even think about it. I don't care. We have to get realistic about how much of this stuff is really going to hurt us and how much our bodies can handle. Because our bodies have been dealing with poisons and shit that's bad for us since the beginning of time. I'm not a germaphobe. I don't worry about all this food cross-contamination. I don't wash my hands 30 times a day. I catch hell for my kitchen habits. Sometimes I get people say to me, I can't believe you touched that meat and then you touched your face with the same hands. Why aren't you wearing gloves? Because cavemen didn't wear gloves. Cavemen didn't have toilet paper either. Somehow we survive. Animals don't wear gloves. The problem with our society is our mothers won't let us play in the dirt anymore. When I was a kid, we played in the dirt. We built up immune systems. We have defenses against that stuff. All we do by avoiding it is making it unrecognizable to our bodies. So when we come in contact with it, we do get sick. I never get sick. I'm the guy touching the meat and touching my face. Now, if I was working in a restaurant, different story. I owned a restaurant. A lot of you know that. I'm very familiar with the food safety codes. Do I practice that stuff at home? No, it's just me. You're not going to catch it through the camera. I guess there's an argument to be made that I should be trying to set a great example, but I do what I do. And, you do it your way. That's how it works. Don't sweat the small stuff. If you got it, and that applies to everything in life, and especially doing carnivore. I was joking around, you all know I smoke cigars. If you didn't know, you know now. I came up with a slogan. I said, it's better to smoke plants than to eat plants. And I started thinking about that. And I said, there's maybe a lot of truth in that. Back in the 40s and 50s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, before all this diet nonsense, before they told us meat was going to kill us and fat was bad for us, we should not eat fat, not eat meat, eat plants and sugar. And then we're now dying of every incredible disease known to man. People died from smoking cigarettes, but nowhere near at the rate that it's making them sick today. I think they were healthier when they were smoking than they are now when they're eating the standard American diet. And that's sad. That's sad. Not that I'm advocating people start smoking cigarettes. And the one thing a lot of people don't realize about cigars is you don't inhale them. You don't suck that smoke down into your lungs. You don't suck it across your vocal cords. And it's relaxing. You just puff on it. I never smoked cigarettes. I don't like them. I don't like the smell. I don't like the chemicals that are in them that aren't in cigars. Cigars are just rolled up leaves. I don't want to defend cigars, but anybody who smokes cigars, enjoy them. Enjoy them. It's something that men do. And not too many years ago, when cigar bars had this resurgence, everything goes ding around me. My watch goes ding. My phone goes ding. Where is my phone, by the way? Oh, I can't believe I left my phone in the other room. Well, that's okay. Where was I? All right. I'm rambling. It's been a long day. I did wake up at 4:30 this morning. And it's been a very busy day with all this stuff going on. People calling me on the phone, telling me, "Hey, I saw you on Ken Berry." And talking all day long. Let me see if I can find any more questions in the chat here. Ron's Keto Cafe is here. Biking 442. How you do? Sandra McDonald's here from Australian. How you doing? Better Barbie. I like that name. My buddy Randy K. I'm back in the cheer where we're talking about the cravings. Maltodextrin. Dr. Berg speaks. Maltodextrin is sugar. Full of carbs. And even all these keto treats, they always get you with those net carbs, which is nonsense, which is really nonsense. I see that Wendy had another super chat. Thank you, Wendy. Let me get it up here. There's a question involved in it. I use beef tallow as face cream. Yeah, yeah. I rub it on my hands as instead of hand cream. Instead of hand cream, I know Nisha Berry always talks about using that. Um, it's a natural moisturizer. It's great. It's made out of the same stuff that we're made out of, which is another basic logic thing that I never could quite understand. It didn't make any common sense. We're meat and fat. We are made of meat. We are not made of cellulose, chlorophyll, and all the things that plants are made of. Our hormones are different. Our cholesterol is different than plant sterols. Doesn't it make sense that if you're looking for materials to rebuild what you're made of, you would eat the closest thing you could to what you're made of instead of something that's entirely different? And that's the way it works. That's the way it works for us. That's why we do so well on carnivore, because it has all the stuff that we're made of in it and none of the stuff that we're not made of. You could each one of these little detours can branch off into a whole lecture. Why is my view count dropping off like crazy? Or is something wrong with YouTube? I just went from 170 viewers to 95. Did I say something to scare people away? Wow. Did somebody just start another live stream? That's weird. I've never seen that happen before. Now it's back up to 106. I think people think you said you were saying goodbye, Cody. Oh, that's okay. I'm going to go another 5 minutes, I think, and keep it to about an hour and a half tonight. Been a long day. It was a good day, though. It was a great day. Very exciting day. And again, thank you, Ken and Nisha, for the shout out. I appreciate it. Kara's still here. One more doll says, I don't think so. Google does not like our way. Yeah, I know. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, something strange is going. The viewer count is just rolling like a slot machine. I've never seen it do that. I'm just not going to believe it, whatever it says. Anyway, Wendy, thank you so much for the super chat. That kind of threw me for a loop. But I've been seeing steady 160, 170, 180 people watching, and then all of a sudden, within a period of a minute, it got cut in half. Pa Beater, my first time on a live with you. Pretty good stuff. He says, thank you. Thank you. I'm a little tired tonight. I'm usually maybe a little more energetic than this, but this is what we do. We just sit here and talk about things. I try to keep up with the chat. People don't ask me as many questions as if I was a doctor. You're not going to see questions with a whole bunch of lab numbers in them like Ken Berry gets all the time. That's not my thing. I'm not a doctor. I tend to just visit with friends. I just enjoy it. I enjoy interacting with the chat, answering what questions I do get if I can. And that's what these live streams are about. On Thursday night, we have the private community live stream where we actually do it like a Zoom call. And I put up a link and you can come in and get in a window and we talk face to face and get to meet each other. and I have a great time in those things. We generally get Juan Kurgan 60, who's an Uber driver down in Chile, and when he's in between calls, we talk to him in his car. We get Randy K, who's an over-the-road trucker, and he's doing carnivore out of his truck, and we talk to him. We get all kinds of great people, really great people in the private community. Nothing snooty about it. That's not the only thing going on with YouTube. I can't give you a super chat because it won't let me put in the 3-number code. Thanks, YouTube. I appreciate that. Well, that's okay, Donna. I know that the thought is there, and I appreciate it. I don't know what that 3-number code is, but something strange has happened tonight. Please tell us how your cameras move with you in your breakfast videos. That's Poola, P-O-O capital L-A, Poola. Please tell us how your cameras move. Well, I'll show you. I'll show you how I do that. This is called an Insta360 X3 camera. As you notice, it's got 2 lenses on each side. It's a 360-degree camera. I take this little tripod, I set it down in the kitchen in front of me, and it records everything like you see in those 360-degree pictures where you can move around. And I don't have to touch the camera. It just records everything. It records the ceiling, the base of the tripod. It records me on this side, the window on the other side, the food that's cooking over there. Everything it can see in 360 degrees is recorded. I take it and put it in an editor. And by moving the mouse around, I can change the view. I can look around. I can look up and down. I can zoom in and out. And I can use things called keyframes to say, okay, when I get to this point in the video, I want this in the picture. And then I move down the timeline. So if I want me in the picture and then I want it to move over to the stove, I will simply advance the timeline to where the point in the video where I want it pointing to the stove, put another keyframe in there. Now I have 2 keyframes. This one's pointing to me over here. This one's pointing to me over here. Further down the timeline, it's pointing to the stove over there. And the editor will create a pan from one to the other and a zoom if I want to zoom in. And it looks like I actually have a cameraman following me, but it isn't. It's all done with this one 360-degree camera. And this is an action camera, and it's unbelievable. I use it for silly things like kitchen videos, but there are people that strap these things to airplanes and skateboards and fully stabilized. And some of these amazing videos that you see on YouTube are done with these 360 cameras. And here's the good news. This one is a 2-year-old design. It's 5.6K resolution, but that's for the whole sphere. So a lot of times you may notice when I want to really zoom in close to something, it does get a little fuzzy. The resolution is not as good as it could be because it's capturing it's like standing inside of a globe, capturing everything on the outside. Today, they released the X4 version of this camera, which is 8K. It has basically almost 4 times the number of pixels sharpness that this camera has. It costs $500. And of course, of course, mine will be here tomorrow. I spare no expense to bring you guys the finest, the finest in audio and video and editing quality, entertainment value for a stupid old fart talking about eating meat. I've always been interested in cinematography, photography, electronics, gadgets, gizmos, biology, evolutionary, cellular biology, every wild subject, quantum physics, you name it. I have to learn about it. And if I do something, I try to do it right. I have an array of wireless microphones that I've always got clipped to me. So I know that the audio is going to come out good. Now, I don't go to Hollywood studio level nitpicking to be cinematic about everything, but I truly figure that if I'm going to do it, I want to do it. I want to do it with some quality. Same thing with my little studio here for the live streams. I go to more than the average single YouTuber is going to do. That's just a silly way that I like to do things. So the new camera's coming tomorrow. Day after tomorrow, I'll probably do my breakfast video with that new camera. And I'm hoping to see a big difference. The good thing about Amazon is if, you can send it back in 30 days. They're not cheap, these cameras. I have 4 different cameras I use for different videos that I make. I have a whole different camera that I use when I do my walking videos. I don't know if you noticed how stabilized and steady they are, but I use a DJI Osmo Pocket 3 with it has an actual gimbal on top of it. Keeps everything steady. They all have wireless microphones. Steve Studley, this is the only live stream I have ever watched. Thank you, Mitch. Wow. Well, thank you, Steve. I'm glad I saw your comment in there. So, pool law. I hope that answers. I keep threatening to make a video. I don't think I'd get very many views on it because most people don't give a crap how I film these things. They don't give a crap why they can't control their cravings. They just want to, they want to know what should I eat and how often. And that's okay. That's okay. A lot of times I go to a video to learn something and I don't care to get too much information either. But Steve, what I was saying is I want to do a video, actually kind of a behind the scenes. You see them, Hollywood does them all the time. The making of Titanic. This is how we sank the ship, and they show you with the models and everything they did. Well, I thought it might be interesting for me to take one of my videos and throw a couple other cameras around, film me filming the video and then show you how I actually edit. I think if nothing else, it would give people a deep appreciation of just how much work the average YouTuber does to film, edit, upload, and make thumbnails and do all that stuff just to put up a 5-minute video or a 10-minute video. It is a lot of detail and a lot of work. And you need equipment, and you need the equipment to do it correctly. And I try. So the new camera came out, and I, of course, ordered one. If any of you are interested in finding out about that camera, since it was released today, and they sent to every photography YouTube channel 30 days ago, they sent these people review units with a non-disclosure that says they couldn't release the videos until 10 o'clock this morning. At 10 o'clock this morning, my stream, because I watch some photography stuff, was flooded with one of these, with this Insta360 X4 camera There must have been 50 videos of people. And some of the stuff they did with this camera, some of the shots, some of the editing they did was fantastic. Fantastic. Problem is, if you don't want to spend $500 on a camera you'll probably never use, don't watch those videos if you're anything like me. Talk about an addiction and no self-control. Many of you may have seen my wall of drones in that video where I sous vide in my little utility room. I got a couple of comments that say, how many friggin' drones does one old guy actually need? Forgetting the fact or not knowing that I actually had a drone channel for 5 years. Well, let's see. A lot of good stuff in the chat here. See, the viewer count's back to 140 something now. I don't know what happened. I know that many people didn't bail on me. William McCartney, how you doing, William? Good to see you. He'll be here till I finish. Julia Mullins. See a lot of new names in here, and that's great. I'm so happy to see you new people. And I know you're going to find my live stream wild and woolly and way different than most of these other live streams that you see. In fact, I don't think anybody's doing something like this, but you'll never you never know what you're going to get. I'm like Forrest Gump with his box of chocolates. Paw Beater, first time on a live with you. Pretty good stuff. Yeah, I saw that before. Thank you. Thank you so much, my friend. Julia Mullins says, my only snack is also pork rinds. A few is all you need. Forget those sugar bars. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Pork rinds are a gift from the gods for us. They are most people don't understand the lowly pork rind. The pork rind, and I've talked about this many times, is mostly protein, pure protein. Most of the fat is rendered out of it. It's a little bit of fat, but if you look at the ingredients label, you'll find it's mostly, there's more grams of protein in it than grams of fat. And what the protein is the same matrix, protein matrix that all animals have that keeps their fat from just falling down. It's like scaffolding. And that protein matrix is in all fat. And when you render the fat out, that protein matrix is like a lattice work. It's there and it is crunchy and it's real food. It's real nourishment. It's protein. It's made out of amino acids. And the fats that are rendered out are good fats too. So it's a health food as much as, say, bacon is a health food. You know, it still makes me crazy when I'm watching TV and they always make some offhand reference to bacon and eggs causing heart attacks as though it's true because it's so embedded in our culture. And they should, you should be eating oatmeal. I see that all the time on TV. It makes me crazy. Viking 42 is here. Coco, nice to see you happy, Mitch. I'm happy. I'm usually pretty happy. What have I got to be unhappy about? But like I said, don't worry about me when I ran away like that. I'm not only entertaining you, I'm entertaining myself. It's called blowing off steam. It just feels good. Sometimes you get frustrated. You just need to tell somebody off. It's harmless. And it's entertaining, I think, at least judging from what you tell me, it's entertaining. And I like doing it. So I got kind of dark on a couple of those things. In fact, what I did with all the rants, except for the one that I just did this week, is I took them down. I'm making them, and I'm going to do it tomorrow. I'm going to make them available to people in the private community because I do get dare I say, a little off color in some of those. And especially the one where I think I had 30 people unsubscribe. I'm hoping the 30 people that unsubscribed were trolls, but I scared them away. So, wow, look at this. My StreamYard says I got 33 people watching. My YouTube feed video says I got 142 watching. Something is really good. I may have 5,000 people watching and I wouldn't even know it. This is funny. It's crazy. Yeah, so I'm going to make them private. And I'll do it every Monday, leave it public for the week. As soon as I do next Monday's rant, I'll make last Monday's rant for the private community. So if you want to see them, you got a week. Not because I'm trying to make people pay for anything. I'm trying to have fewer people think that I'm that angry, that profane, because I'm really not. I'm really not. Some of that was a little experiment to see what the results would be. I actually don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I do want the bad people to go away, but I don't want to offend anybody. I really don't want to step on anybody's beliefs, whether it be political or religious, because yes, I have my beliefs and I'm firm in them. But I do not deny anybody the right to believe whatever they want without having somebody trying to change their mind. And the only time that you might hear or get the impression that you think I'm trying to change your mind about something is only when I know down in my heart that I've figured out the reason why. And sometimes we have to look back in the history of our species, in the developmental biology, to find the origins of many of these behaviors and genetically programmed things that our body does that in all logic and common sense have to be what's causing the things that we're trying to fix. And I've always, I did something today that I do every once in a while, and that is I watch some of my old videos. Here on this screen it says I got like 6 people watching. On this screen it says I got 142 watching. Up on my here it says, is anybody still here? It says I got 6 people watching now. No. Scooby says you cannot offend people these days if you have a mind of your own. I'm one of the 6 people here. Says I'm here. Yeah, good. I don't know what's going on. Now it says 3 people. That can't possibly be true. Yeah. Well, it's 9:45. Yeah, everybody's here. Hey, feel like I'm taking roll call. Michelle, you're here. I think I thanked the newest members. Yes, I did. I remember that. I think I got everybody who super chatted. Thank you so much. And I'm beginning to think that even Jovo says, can we blame Biden? Come back Thursday and ask me. We don't really have any basements. We have earthquakes. Scooby's here. Vikings still here. We're all here. Hail, hail. The gang's all here. I don't know why this screen says, let me refresh this screen over here just for the hell of it and see what it says. It says 4. Yeah. That happens once in a while. YouTube's counters are all screwed up. I know I got more than 4 people watching. How the hell could you all desert me? It's too much fun. Yeah, it says 4 watching. YouTube is messed up. Andrew. Hey, Andrew, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you, man. Andrew, I'm a little disappointed in your company, Andrew. I ordered a new laptop computer. Yeah, that's why I'm having technical problems. I I laptop took a crap, and I ordered a new laptop. I can't believe the money I got to spend just to stay in this YouTube business, but I had to get a new laptop. And I ordered one yesterday. It had 1 day delivery, and it never got here today. And they changed the delivery till tomorrow. So I got a big new tech toy day tomorrow. I got a new laptop and a new 360 camera coming tomorrow. All to make YouTube videos better for my friends. Robert Forrest, how you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. Scooby's still here. Kay is here. Mike K. Mike tells me to take the rest of the day off. Okay. Jay Zen says Bill Gates is jamming my stream. Andrew says, damn Amazon. Oh, you guys are great. Toys are wonderful, says Viking. Wendy Hammett, thanks, Mitch. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Well, I guess everybody's here. I'm going to find me a little music. Let's play these. Let's play my little blues here. Oh my God, now it says one watching. If I didn't know better, that'd make me feel really, really paranoid. Yeah, Linda, I don't know. They don't usually do that, and I was very careful so that I bought it where it said it was shipping from Amazon, shipped and sold by Amazon, and not one of these third-party vendors. And they still screwed me up, but it'll be here tomorrow. I'll live. I'll be busy setting that up. You know, you get a new notebook, it takes you a day to get everything loaded on it, adjusted. Eat Meat Hills for Life likes my music interlude. What do you think? You like this one? I told you the other day, a viewer of mine who happens to be a musician actually sent this, and I've played it before. Let me switch to it. What do you think of that? Maybe I'm just a frustrated disc jockey. Listen to this. This is very pretty. I love this. Turn it up a little. He recorded this. He's the sax guy. This is his original music. He gave it to me. No copyright. Really neat. I like it. I want to start using stuff like this a little more. All right, guys. I'm going to go to bed. Thanks so much for coming, everybody. All 4 of you, it says, are still there. And thanks for sticking with me. I know you're stuck with me, judging by the chat. I'll come up with something for tomorrow. I don't know what it is yet. I think the allulose video is going to be a day or 2 off. There's so much to that. There's so much chemistry to it. So many things, references, studies, and my opinion. But I'll come up with something to talk about tomorrow, probably film it, cooking my breakfast. I enjoy doing those kind of videos. And S. McCabe says, thanks to Dr. Ken Berry. Everybody's saying. Carlo J. Vargas says, night Mitchie. My grandfather used to call me that. Wendy Hammett, headed to bed. Love, peace, and positivity. Dixie Scott says, bye. Everybody sleep well. Joanne Falconer. Saw a lot of new names in here tonight. So glad to have you. So glad you guys found me. Good to see you. And Andrew H. Z's. Yeah, you're not kidding. So, good night, everybody. That music put me right to sleep. Take the rest of the day off, guys, and eat meat.